So a few days ago, I released my Premier League predictions video. So today, here are my championship predictions for the 2020-21 season. God, this is going to be hard. 24th, Sheffield Wednesday. Okay, this is probably the only prediction that I have somewhat confidence in. Usually, if you start the season with a 12-point deduction, you're likely in for a good bet of relegation. I mean, they're lucky they're even still here. The EFL wanted to apply it to last season, where you would have finished rock bottom, and Charlton Athletic would have stayed up. But 16th in the league last season, and Gary Monk still in charge, have fun in League One. 23rd, Rotherham. We see this all the time in baseball. A player will absolutely dominate AAA, and then get called up to the MLB, and forget how to even walk to the batter's box. These are known as quadruple A players, and Rotherham are the epitome of that, but in soccer. They play so well in League One, finishing second last season, but they get up to the championship and they look like a kitten stuck in a dog pound, i.e., it's not going to end well. 22nd, Birmingham. Thank Christ you guys sacked Pep Fonte last season, because he was god-awful. But you lost your young star, who was the absolute heart and soul of this club. The kid isn't even old enough to drink or vote yet, and you've already retired his number. And with a bunch of League One standard players, I wouldn't be surprised if you went down. 21st, Luton Town. Luton are such a feel-good story. An extremely tiny club that is exceeding expectations every single day. They were the League One champions back in the 18-19 season. They won their final game of the season at home against Blackburn to overcome all odds and stay up in the championship. They're probably going to struggle this season, kind of like a second season syndrome, but I have hope in Luton Town, and 9 months from now, they'll stay up by a literal millimeter. 20th, Barnsley. Okay, Barnsley are legit the luckiest team in the world, but they did work hard in the end. After a terrible season, with a week left, Barnsley had to win their last 2 games to avoid relegation, but they also needed some help along the way. Barnsley did their part, they beat Nottingham Forest, and they clutched up in the final minute at Brentford to spoil their promotion hopes, but we'll get into that in a little bit. However, with Luton winning, Barnsley finished technically in the relegation zone. Then after that, Wigan, who comfortably finished mid-table, were handed a 12-point deduction which put them below Barnsley in the table, and back in August, Wigan lost their appeal, keeping Barnsley up. These last few months will be a huge momentum swing for this Barnsley club this season, and I think they're staying up for real this time. 19th, Wickham. Akinfenwa in the championship, man, who would have thought? The fact that this man has a chance to play in the Premier League next season is mental. Wickham won the League One playoffs last season to earn promotion to the championship, and I think this squad is starting to find a groove. They won't have a great season. They'll probably lose a lot of games, but they'll stay up. 18th, Reading. Reading had a really sloppy end to last season, and that will definitely carry into this season. I mean, hiring a man sacked in the MLS is one way to join a relegation scrap, but with consistent stagnant mid-table finishes, Reading are in for a rough year. 17th, Bristol City. After a comfortable 12th place finish last season, Bristol will take a massive step backwards. Your new manager hasn't coached in 5 bastard years, and 5 years ago, he won 3 games in League One. This season will be about as hopeful as the New York Knicks in the NBA draft lottery. Haha, the Knicks suck. 16th, Huddersfield. This team is a shell of their former self. 2 seasons ago, they were in the Premier League making road trips to Liverpool and Man City. Fast forward to now, and they're making trips to Barnsley and Birmingham. Ever since that disastrous season in the top flight, Huddersfield have been quote-unquote plummeting. And if they don't get their act together soon, they could find themselves making road trips to Burton Albion, Sunderland, and Rochdale very soon. 15th, Coventry City. You ever just get a good feeling about a team, thinking they're going to do well? Because I think Coventry City is going to surprise a lot of people this season. They were the League One champions last season, only losing 3 games. I think they're going to be a mid-table team instead of fighting it out with Rotherham and Wickham in the pit of relegation. But I think Coventry will make a promotion hunt in a few years. I like what they're doing. 14th, QPR. What a crappy second half of the season. Just before 2020 started, QPR were on fire and had a spot in the promotion playoffs. Fast forward to July, and they flopped down all the way to 13th. Eberaki Eze, their star player, dipped to a relegation battle to Crystal Palace, throwing all promotion hopes out the window, and it will be a boring mid-table finish for the Queen's Park Rangers. 13th, Preston. Last season, Preston did pretty well, finishing just a few points shy of the playoffs, but the human egg that is Alex Neil is slowly ruining this team, and he needs to make a change, otherwise he'll be sacked before 2021 even starts. This season will be a step backwards, but not much of a massive one. 12th, Millwall. For Millwall standards, incredible last season. Back in 2019, Millwall finished in 21st, escaping relegation by 4 points. Last season, after everybody predicted relegation, Millwall finished in 8th, missing out on the playoffs by 5 points. This is why the championship is so hard to predict, because any team can have an insane turnaround, and I think this season for Millwall, a decent top half season will result. 11th, Nottingham Forest. A late season collapse can be detrimental for a team like Nottingham Forest. They were all set to start the playoffs before Swansea destroyed Reading, and Stoke came in and ran you out of your own stadium, ending your season in 7th place. This was a massive blow to the team, and I don't think they're going to recover from this, and they'll flop down to somewhere like 11th. 10th, Stoke. Since being replaced by Burnley in the Premier League, Stoke will improve this season, but fall short of any promotion contention. Mike O'Neill is doing a pretty good job, and his squad is in for a good top half season. However, this 10th place finish is critical if Jack Butland can perform this season. He's someone that a few years ago everyone thought he'd be starting for the England squad and playing Champions League football. But aside from that, I think a big step in the right direction for Stoke City. 9th, Blackburn. Blackburn finished 11th last year, and Stuart Downing had an incredible season. Also, Adam Armstrong is rapidly improving, trying to make a promotion push. As this season will be an improvement, they will fall short of the playoffs, and it will be 10 years stuck in the wilderness that is the championship for a former Premier League champion team. 8th, Middlesbrough. Last season was absolutely terrible for Middlesbrough fans. After falling short of the playoffs 2 years ago, they flopped all the way down to 17th last season. This year will be much better, especially under Neil Warnock. Yes, he's retired about 1,000 times, but he is still a solid coach, and I think this will put Middlesbrough back on track toward a return to the top flight. 7th, Bournemouth. What a decade it's been for Bournemouth. They've climbed up from League 2 all the way to the Premier League in 6 seasons and stayed up for 5 years before finishing 18th last season and finding themselves back in the woods trying to get out. Eddie Howe went all in last season, spending monies on players like Chelsea, but there is a clear skill gap in the players he bought versus what Frank Lampard got. Since being relegated, Eddie Howe got sacked. No surprise there. They've lost a lot of key players, Nathan Ake, Callum Wilson, Ryan Fraser, Charlie Daniels, who played major roles for this club. A heartbreaking 7th finish for Bournemouth fans, just falling short of the promotion playoffs. 6th, Swansea. About a month ago, I thought Swansea was going to win this league, until I realized there are 5 teams in front of them that are way better. A squad led by former top flight stars who are in their 30s and keep finding themselves scraping away playoff spots. They'll lose in the semifinals as usual, but another similar season in 6th. Pretty boring. 5th, Norwich. Last year, Norwich City became a complete and utter laughingstock. I mean, 21 points in the Premier League? Seriously? Keep in mind, this team nearly got 100 points in the championship 2 seasons ago, and when they came up, they didn't know what the to do. Listen, this team may suck like a Dyson vacuum, but they still do have most of their team intact from last season. Just like Rotherham, Norwich plays really good in the championship, but not in the Premier League, so I'm predicting playoff spot, you'll lose in the final. It's better than the 14th I had a month ago for you. 4th, Cardiff. As hard as it is to predict the championship table, you can almost guarantee that Cardiff will get into the playoffs. Neil Harris is a decent replacement for Neil Warnock, and there's not really much to say about Cardiff. 4th place finish, falls short of the Premier League, losing the playoff semi-final. Pretty boring. Yeah. 3rd, Derby County. Derby County have been trapped in the championship for over 12 bastard years, and they need to get out. Having a solid squad led by Philip Kaku, who I think can do well in the Premier League as a coach, can be a good sign for their fans going forward. Oh, and not to mention they have one of the greatest English footballers of all time, who can finally get back to the top flight if they get promoted. So you know what? Derby County, 3rd, playoff champions, welcome back to the Prem, especially you, Wayne Rooney. 2nd, Brentford. No fan base in the world, aside from maybe Bury, have faced the level of pain and suffering as Brentford fans. But this season, it's happening. Brentford will be playing Premier League football next season. After the playoff loss to Fulham, everyone thought that they would crawl into a hole and die. But the complete opposite has happened. They've somehow managed to keep their front 3 of Said Benrahma, Brian Mbeumo, and Ollie Watkins. 37 years of failed promotion and playoff pain will finally come to an end. And I'm calling it right here, right now. Brentford are automatically getting promoted to the Premier League. 1st, Watford. Quite frankly, Watford doesn't deserve to be here. On paper, this team is way better than most of this league. Last season was a major hiccup, and they suffered the ultimate consequence of relegation. I mean, that's what happens when your final game of the season, in a do-or-die situation, is against Arsenal at the Emirates. But still, the relegation is completely on themselves. They had a bad season. But there is no doubt in my mind Watford will get right back up to the Premier League, and I think they're going to lift the trophy in the process in those pretty fire kids. Watford are your 2020-21 championship winners. Alright guys, that's going to be it for my championship predictions video. If you haven't checked out my Premier League predictions video, it'll be linked down in the description below. Go check it out. And in 9 months, I'll make 2 separate videos reacting to both sets of predictions and see how I did. Anyways, hope you guys did enjoy today's video. Thank you all for watching. Remember to subscribe, leave a like, and I'll see you guys later.